With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour number 2, Money Moves here on VSiN. Matt Brown, Ariel, Epstein coming to you here on a Monday. Thank you for being with us, whether it be on Sirius Channel 158 over on YouTube TV, our very own VSiN Watch app, or any of the terrestrial stations across the country that have us here on VSiN. Do appreciate that. I've got the blue screen of death behind me out here at Circa. They're resetting the screen. Normally it looks so awesome, like it's like this crazy. And now I've got like the blue. Look at that. I'm like, it's not a bad green screen thing that I'm on right now, guys. It's just like they're resetting the screen out here behind us every now and then. You know, they got to do some technical updates here at the largest sports book in the world. But as we know, it is college basketball hot and heavy right now. So joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line is John Fanta, Fox College Hoops broadcaster at John_Fanta over on the Twitter machine. John, thanks for the time, man.
Thank you, guys. It's great to be with you. Here we go. Final 4-week college basketball crown revs up very soon, later this afternoon. Can't wait, guys. Tons of basketball on the calendar, and we're going to crown champions all throughout the week in the men's game and the women's game, of course, too.
Well, John, let's get right into that. People who aren't familiar with the college basketball crown that is going to be going down right here in Las Vegas, can you give people a brief overview of what they're going to be watching?
Yeah, I think that this is a game-changer event to this last week of college basketball. When fans have been getting such a great appetite for the madness and for buzzer beaters and the star power, I think there's a little bit of depression at times when you're like, okay, we just have the Final Four, and then we have one championship game. I want more college basketball in my life. The crown will help that. You've got quadruple headers the next 2 days, 16 teams ranging from primarily the Big 12, the Big 10, the Big East with 4 teams, and then a couple of other mid-major programs. And it's going to be a fascinating week. I think there's a wide openness to this.
Did we lose John? All right. Well, we will endeavor to get him back on.
$100,000 in NIL prizes. So it should be a really fun event, guys.
Hey, I was just about to give John some credit for this quality of video in the car. People listening on radio don't know, but John is in the car and his quality is great. John, great to see you. I do question, we've seen this a lot with like the NIT and other tournaments, not the NCAA tournament. How much are these players going to want to put it all out there on the floor, especially for when people are, betting on this?
Yeah, I think that's certainly an interesting element. The fact that there's been a 2-week gap period for these teams has given them the opportunity to reset, to get remotivated, and to go for a $300,000 grand prize. The runner-up gets $100,000, and the semifinalists get $50K apiece that gets split up. So the NIL money that's on the line. Also, there's going to be double-digit amount of NBA teams represented. Also, some of these players are in the transfer portal. They're playing for their next stop, guys. Like that's a really interesting concept as well to this event, is that you're auditioning potentially, whether it's to come back to your program and get paid or to get paid elsewhere. I think there's plenty of motivation for several of the star players. This event has the nation's leading scorer, Eric Dixon, who's 8 points shy of Kerry Kittle's all-time Villanova record. You've got Des Claude and USC. I think USC is a really good value on the board to win this event. I think they're motivating under Eric Musselman. I think they're going to put together some really strong performances. Boise State, they want to prove people that they belong to the NCAA tournament. They have one of the best players in the country. His name is Tyson Degenhart. I think Boise is out to say, hey, look at us. Look how tough we are. We can be a champion amongst power conference schools. I do think motivation, because of the 2-week gap leading into this event, these players are now mentally reset. and ready to go out for a championship for just a week in Vegas. It's not like this is a 3-week event. You go to one central location. It's Las Vegas. Certainly you guys know there are far worse places to be. We love Vegas. I'm excited to see this play out. I think it's a fun new event that can be a game changer in the postseason landscape.
Talking to John Fanta from Fox Sports. John, you mentioned, so Cincinnati, your short shot here at plus 380, Boise State at 4-1, Nebraska 5-1, Villanova 7-1, USC at 7.5-1, everybody else 12-1 or longer. Are there any of these double-digit teams, if somebody wants to get down and kind of take one of these longer shots, a UCF, a Utah, Butler, Colorado, Georgetown, et cetera, that you think could make a run?
A pair of wins and don't just go out and score at will. That
Seems like we were having a little bit of connection trouble there with John here on this one. As we say, he's headed to work, Ariel. You know, like we got him in the middle of the commute to work.
I think I jinxed him a little bit, but
Yeah.
Listen, John Fanta, I give him so much credit. He is always on the go. He is always doing videos. He's always doing social media, always on shows. He has blown up in the last few years. I mean, like it's amazing to watch, but yeah, true dedication when you're in the car and trying to do a guest spot. We appreciate you, John.
We'll endeavor to get him back on maybe just audio only, video maybe slowing some things up right there. But he did say he liked USC from a value standpoint at plus 750 on the odds board. So that is a pretty decent ticket. As we said, there's a little bit more instant gratification than you get with the NCAA tournament, as we're 3 weeks long in this thing. This thing's all going to be wrapped up in a week. So you could turn your bet into a 7.5-1 if you do like the USC side of things with him. And a little bit further down the odds board, as I was mentioning, UCF is 12-1, Utah 14-1, Butler and Colorado and Georgetown all 20-1, Arizona State, Oregon State at 40-1, and your real bombs here, Washington State at 80-1, George Washington 100-1, DePaul 110-1, and then Tulane all the way out at 200-1. No love for the Green Wave here in this tournament.
No love there at all. 200-1 is nuts, but we do have, I think we have John back.
Hey, guys.
There we go, John. So yes. Yeah, I got you. So when we lost you, I basically asked any of those kind of double digit, longer shot type teams that you've got an eye on that maybe could make a run. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to get John back on the phone here, but again, we will. It is the college basketball crown. It is taking place here in Vegas from March 31st to April the 6th, and it is a betting opportunity. So if you guys want to go in, do some research, we'll be breaking it down over at VSiN.com as well. So go in and take a look. Okay, so we do have John back this time. Okay. One last time here on John. We are looking at some of these longer shot teams here, the double digits, the UCFs, the Utahs, Butlers, Colorados, Georgetowns, et cetera. Is there any one of these longer shot teams that you think maybe could make a run in the tournament?
You guys got me now?
We do.
Hopefully.
We got you.
Okay. Excellent. I think Butler plays a style that can make them a matchup problem in this event. They have two dynamic wings in Jameel Telfort and Pierre Brooks, who are just really tough to defend. Fab Mata plays this. They have a playing style that I think can match success in a tournament environment. And what I mean by that is you got a couple of seniors who are just trying to leave it all out on the floor. And I think that this team, they won an MTE in November. They won the Arizona tip-off. They beat Northwestern, and then they beat a tournament team in Mississippi State. So I just like them because I think they're hard to scout for. They've got big bully guards, and they've got guys who have been in college for a long time, 4-5-year guys in college. Why not go out there, leave it all on the floor, and make one more paycheck to win the crown?
We've got 4 games today starting at 3 p.m. Eastern time. John, which of these opening matchups do you think has the best value for bettors?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see today what we're in for. I would think, for me, I'm going to go with that opener, Utah and Butler. Butler's a 2.5-point underdog. I also think Nebraska and Arizona State, I like the Huskers to win this game and cover the 5.5. They've got Bryce Williams and Jawan Gary, a really dynamic pair. And Fred Hoiberg's team, they got wins over UCLA, over Oregon, Illinois as well. Like, Nebraska's no slouch. That's a tough team. They play hard-nosed defense. Arizona State's already lost a player to the transfer portal, Joe Sannon to St. John's. I kind of like where Nebraska's at heading into this tournament. So I know it's 5.5, but I do think the Huskers are going to get a commanding win. But I like Butler as an underdog. And then the late game tonight, I expect a lot of points. Washington State and Georgetown, a lot of tempo, a lot of guard play. Washington State's got a guard, Nate Calmes, who can guide them. The line's just 3.5. I think it will be tight. I think that'll be a close game, but I expect a lot of scoring in that game and a lot of pace. George Washington and Boise State, 8.5 points is a bit hefty, in my book. But Boise State's my pick to win this tournament. So, if I'm going to have to commit to a prediction, it's going to be Boise State to win the crown this week. I think they start strong against George Washington today.
John, only got about 30 seconds here, but cram in as much goodness as you can on Florida, Auburn, and Houston Duke.
Historic Final Four. KenPom started in 1996, the metric system that we all follow. These 4 teams are in the top 10 all-time in KenPom. Now, it reflects the modernization of basketball. But think about this. Last time Florida and Auburn played inside Neville Arena, Florida went in and made a statement. Now Auburn out for redemption. Janai Broome versus that front line. Fascinating. Houston, generational defense. Duke, generational offense, and a superstar in Cooper Flagg. When elite offense meets outstanding defense, get your popcorn ready. It's going to be must-see. I can't wait. I think Duke beats Houston. I think Auburn beats Florida. I think the Blue Devils cut down the net.
He is John Fanta. Find him over on Fox Sports. Watch the college basketball crown again taking place right here in Las Vegas at John_Fanta on the Twitter machine as well. John, appreciate it and enjoy Las Vegas.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for bearing with me.
Absolutely. No problem at all. When we come back, a little bit more baseball and some NBA talk.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Money Moves here on a Monday. Matt up in Stormy's seat. Ariel Epstein with us as well. And tweet coming through here. We know the owners are meeting right now, Ariel. And so finally the Browns have taken some responsibility for what they've done to that franchise, as Jimmy Haslam says that the team is still recovering from a big swing and miss on Deshaun Watson and to hold him and D accountable. So they have come out at least to the fan base and said, okay, after 3 years now, we will finally take some responsibility for what we have done and back this franchise up about a decade. So that's what's going on there in Cleveland. I at least do commend them for finally coming out and saying, yeah, we really messed this up.
Can we just officially deem any quarterback that goes to the Browns as cursed? And Deshaun Watson already had issues with his off the field massage problems leaving Houston. It just was not a good fit for any trajectory going to Cleveland. What is the most quarterbacks ever between in the last 25 years in franchise? Come on, guys, we've got to do something. You know how they say, was it Elway wasn't good at drafting quarterbacks, and Ozzie Newsome, who's a Hall of Fame GM, was terrible at drafting wide receivers. The Browns just have to figure it out, quarterbacks. This is just an atrocity.
So let's go back to Major League Baseball. I didn't get to all of your plays here today. A little bit later, 7:07 Eastern, we've got the Nats and the Blue Jays. This is Michael Soroka for the Nationals. Yes, he's on the Nationals now. Bowden Francis for the Blue Jays. This is sitting minus 170 for the Jays at home, plus 142 for the Nats on the road. We're sitting at a flat 8 on the total that is juiced towards the over there, Ariel. What do you think about this one?
My thought is to stay away from the Blue Jays today. So I watched the line move from last night, Toronto minus 172. It got to as low as minus 164 this morning. We're seeing a little bit of buyback. However, we did see a nearly 10-cent move against the Blue Jays, despite them being the very public side, over 80% of action coming in on Toronto. you don't really know what you're going to get from either of these pitchers. Now, Michael Soroka, he says his name's Michael now. Michael Soroka has not looked the same, of course, since he was in Atlanta, tore his Achilles twice. He pitched a lot last year, but only started he pitched 25 games, but only started in 9. However, he does have great stuff, and at least he made it through a season. Not as strikeout prone a lineup, Toronto. So then you go to the Toronto side, where Bowden Princess has been also kind of iffy, getting a team like the Nationals that don't strike out a lot. So I say Blue Jays is a fade, or just stay away from throwing them as like some heavy money line in your stupid parlay.
Man, I'm looking down the baseball slate today, and we're only a week into the season. The Twins are minus 192 favorites. We have the Phillies that are minus 305 favorites. The Mets are minus 205. We get the Jays at minus 205. You go down a little bit further, and you get to the Dodgers at minus 225. Very, very heavy favorites here just a week into the season, and we'll stop at that Braves and Dodgers game that is coming to you 10:10 Eastern out there on the East Coast, West Coast, best coast when it comes to this one, 7:10 for Braves and Dodgers. Tyler Glasnow on the hill for the Dodgers. Grant Holmes, best hair in baseball for the Braves. Braves plus 185 as dogs on the road, a flat 8 the total there as well. You're looking at Glasnow prop.
Glasnow at home over 6.5 strikeouts. Get this around minus 130. The Braves strike out a lot. They struck out a lot last year. Just over 5 strikeouts a game, which is pretty high for when facing a righty. This year, 7-3-4 against righties to start the season. However, Glasnow can argue is one of the better pitchers that they've seen this season so far. And I know you could say, okay, it's his debut on the year, but last year in his debut, he punched out a good number of, I think he had 7 against San Francisco. So on average last year, Glasnow averaged just under 7 strikeouts a game when facing a high K rate team. That number at home went up to 7.5 strikeouts a game on average. That included a home game against the Braves last season with 10 strikeouts in 7 innings pitched. Tyler Glasnow at 6.5 seems a bit high. However, the Braves haven't really faced better strikeout pitchers like this one, which is why you're probably getting a 6.5 here on Glasnow. So I know it's a little high on the 6.5 side, but if you want some action later today and don't want to lay minus 210 on the Dodgers, then at least you could somewhat back the Dodgers by getting a good outing by Glasnow.
We can head to one that isn't at least a crazy spread in the Giants and the Astros. Astros at home here, minus 130, plus 110 for the Giants on the road. Another flat 8 on that total. We're looking at Ronel Blanco there for the Astros, Jordan Hicks for the Giants. You are looking on the Astros side here.
If you want some plus money, you can get around plus 110 for Ronel Blanco to go over 5.5 strikeouts today. Last year against the Giants, righties averaged about 5 strikeouts a game. But when you look at them this year, 8 and 5 strikeouts for the first 2 righty starters, both facing the Giants, went over their strikeout prop. So that's something to look out for this year's numbers. Blanco at home, he averaged 7 strikeouts a game last year against high K rate teams. That's the Giants. So I'm going to take a good shot at Blanco at home this time around. Plus money. So plus 110 over 5.5 Ks for Blanco at home.
I have a one out there as well. And this is a little bit of a leap of faith type of play because we have not seen Jackson Jobe pitch a Major League Baseball game. However, Jackson Jobe, one of the highest prospects in all of baseball. And I think we're getting a little bit of a discount here because the Tigers started out 0-3. They went 0-3 because they got swept by the Dodgers. And yeah, Dodgers are going to sweep a lot of teams, and the Dodgers are going to put some hurting on a lot of teams. And so here come the Tigers getting to go up to Seattle now and face the Mariners, who cannot hit a lick. This team has absolutely nobody in that lineup right now. I mean, they're going to waste one of the best pitching staffs that there is in Major League Baseball because they have no hitters on this team. And so we're getting even money actually on the Tigers here on the road against this very light hitting Mariners team. I will take that all day long. And I'm just going to put my faith in Jackson Jobe. What we saw in the spring, he looked very, very good. He looked like he was up for the part, wasn't really a favorite to make this rotation and did so well that he did end up getting a spot there in this rotation. They couldn't keep him out. And so let him go. Let him get this done against this Mariners team that just can't hit a lick, Ariel.
Yeah, I love the Tigers this year. Seattle is always that team that has great pitching and end up not being able to hit, like every year in the playoffs that they've made it and score like 0 or 1 run. I don't mind it. I don't always love betting on players that I've never seen before, but that is where you do tend to get some of that value. So I give you a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, it's like I said, leap of faith here, but I'll go with the pedigree and what we saw here in the spring with Jackson Jobe. Let's switch over to the association. What are you looking at here over in the NBA?
Okay, first off, because everyone knows I love my props, you can get a good revenge game with Josh Giddey going up against his former team with Bulls Thunder tonight. So good revenge spot there. When you're looking at a team like the Celtics against the Grizzlies, I mean, that Celtics are nothing for me. The Grizzlies just clearly don't seem to like each other. You've got players fighting on the bench like Bane and Altama. Your coach got fired with a good record. So that's a red flag. Rockets are playing well. Lakers a bit better lately. If you look at some of the quotes recently, like JJ Redick, their head coach, he said defense is standing out to him a lot and they keep trying to play with more edge. That's the word that they keep using. LeBron also saying that the team is like getting into that groove of trying to find their rhythm going into the playoffs. We all know this with LeBron. This is typical LeBron time where he finally says, I know now we have to kick it into high gear. This is why no one watches the NBA until about April, because that's when LeBron starts playing. So you could look at the Lakers or the under because of them focusing on that good defense. I'd also say Clippers and Magic, since they're going head to head tonight. Those are two really defensively focused teams. I would look to the under in that spot just because of how great those teams are defensively and desperate in standings. So they really need to play tough for good playoff spots. And then that Thunder game. Yeah, I said Giddey. So those would be my 4 for those games tonight, Matt.
Guys, if you have not already gone over to VSiN.com, go ahead, do it right now. Not only do you get all of the daily plays, and you can go to the picks page, and everything is listed in there by date, by sport, all nice and tidy for you in there. You can also get the daily articles in which we're breaking down every single thing going on out there in the sports world. You do not have time to handicap tennis. I know this. You do not have time to go in and be an expert in every single sport that is happening across this great landscape of ours. And so this is what we do at VSiN.com for you. And we know you love going and looking at that betting splits page in which we have not only the DraftKings numbers, but we also have the Circa numbers. So you can see what the big national book is doing when it comes to the betting split stuff. And then you can also get it from Circa as well, where we're getting a little bit bigger action, a little bit bigger bets, a little bit sharper action as well. So you can do some comparative stuff there before you go in and make that final decision. Again, right now, $9.99 for your first month. So go in, VSiN.com/subscribe, $9.99 for your first month. When we come back, let's talk to Josh Appelbaum, see what he thinks about Major League Baseball early on here through a week. Of course, the NBA, and then we'll get his final 4 thoughts as well.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Money Moves here on a Monday. Matt Brown, Ariel, Epstein coming to you, and now joined. This is the reason you tuned into the program today. You see him every single Monday here. It is Josh Appelbaum, VSiN Contributor at Josh_Insights over on the Twitter machine. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks for the great introduction there, Ariel. Great to see you. So, Matt, I want to ask you, we got the college basketball crown here today.
Yes.
I joked with you if you're going to the game. I just looked it up. Tickets as low as $13 here today. So, number one, had you ever heard of this tournament prior to today? And number two, maybe you can win a quick slot machine and spend that $13 and go sweat the game in person tonight.
So yesterday, when I discovered that this thing was going down. So yes, I had heard of it before today. And 13, a little too rich for me. Maybe if I can find an $11 ticket, maybe that I will end up over there and
just go to Buffalo. Just go to the Buffalo machine and you'll be good.
You know, we'll see. If I can get courtside for like 37, then then that's something I'm interested in. You know, if I can get courtside for like 37, you might catch me there. That being said, you have heard of it. And not only have you heard of it, you got 2 different looks today, but let's start with Utah and Butler.
Yes, this is the early one here today. We got a day sweat, which is great as we wait for the Final Four to return. Looking at this matchup here, it's kind of interesting. You got 2 struggling teams. Utah and both with Butler lost 5 of their last 6. They're both kind of not playing well, but obviously got invited to this tournament. My question is, how much, motivation are these teams having going to this tournament? It's probably fun if you're 18, 19 years old to go to Vegas, but we'll see kind of the stakes here. It may mean a lot and may not. But it looks like the betting market has shown a clear preference here toward Utah. This game opened about a pick'em. Some shops were Butler -1. Some shops were Utah -1. Split the difference around a pick'em game. But regardless of that opener, whoever was favored by a point or a pick'em, all movement has been toward the Utes. The Utes have gotten steamed up now around a pick'em to -2.5. And what's notable to me, guys, is the fact that if you look at DraftKings right now, public isn't all over Utah. They're actually all over Butler. So I don't know if that's just a preference for, a team that they remember with Brad Stevens, going deep into the tournament. Maybe that's just some bias at play here. But right now you have 2/3 of bets on Butler, yet this line is steaming toward Utah. So that is a classic reverse line move. Public's on one side, yet the line goes the other way. And also what's interesting to me is the fact that, this tournament is in your neck of the woods, Matt. It's in Las Vegas. It's at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. So that's why I put a lot of stock into the Circa splits. What's great at VSiN is you get both DraftKings and Circa splits. Right now it's Circa, only 1/3 of bets, but more than 50% of the money is on Utah. So that tells me probably people who are going to the game or, wise guys locally seem to really like Utah in this spot and cause that line move toward the Utes. Couple advantages here for Utah. They're 83rd in defensive efficiency. Butler is 148th. They have the better offensive rebound percentage, 37th in the country versus 278th. They limit their opponents to a better effective field goal percentage, 76th versus 107th. And they also have better rebounds, just classic, can you win the battle of the boards? Usually you win the game. 40 rebounds a game versus 35 for Butler. And also want to give a shout out to our friends at Rhythm. They're running a great promo in the VSiN newsletter right now. Rhythm has Utah -3.3 based on their AI model. So I'll go with this line move. I'll play Utah. It's against the public. It's with the sharp move. But I'm going to go money line here, Matt and Ariel, -134. You can find that at FanDuel. I'd hate to lay up, 2.5 and they win by 1 or 2 and I lose. But I got the Utes here. Looks like a pretty clear sharp move to me.
Josh, one thing to point out here, you did mention this was happening in Las Vegas. If there was one of these two teams that might enjoy the nightlife more than the other, could be also why there might be a move going one way or the other. Just saying, just throwing it out there.
Great point.
If you want to handicap.
That was what I was just about to say, because I was in Bahamas last year and I went to one of those tournaments. We saw a specific team hanging out at the casino with us late at night. We bet against them. And they got murdered. So you never know. Everyone who's in Vegas, keep a close eye out for who might be circulating around these casinos.
Yeah, who's got the Vegas flu? That's what I want to know.
No, that comes a week later. Okay, Josh, we've got another game today. We've got Nebraska and Arizona State. Nebraska's laying 5.5, total 154.5. Pretty hefty money line, a -230 for Nebraska. What do you like in this spot?
Yeah, to your point, Nebraska favored by 5.5. That money line's too pricey to me. I don't like to go over like -175, -200. But this is also interesting because, again, two teams that are really struggling. Nebraska lost 6 of their last 7. Arizona State has lost 11 of their last 12. They got a lot of guys who have opted out, have gotten injured. But however, if you look at the line movement here, a lot of books opened the Cornhuskers as high as -6.5. Now, there was some disagreement in the market. I saw some openers around 5, but a lot of the market setting books, the global books, your Pinnacles, your Circas, they were as high as, 6.5. If you look at what the line has happened here, though, in terms of movement, the public doesn't know what to do. Two struggling teams. They think Nebraska's the better team, but that's kind of a lot of points at a neutral site game that who knows, again, the motivation of these teams to play hard and win. Yet 50-50, the line's dropping toward Arizona State. They were getting 6.5. Now they're getting 5.5. You see a couple of shops that were, as low as 5 earlier today. So I always like it when you have a 50-50 line move. Basically, that's when the public is split. There's no, contrarian value, but there's also an indecision on the public's part. That's when I throw away the bet splits and look at the line movement. So the fact that this has fallen 6.5 to 5.5 at quite a few shops tells me Arizona State looks to be the sharp play. You look at the splits as well, dig a little deeper. DraftKings, 48% of bets, 61% of dollars. And again, I'm going to kind of operate on the premise of people who are betting this game at Circa. Maybe they have an edge. Really jumped out to me at Circa. Arizona State's getting 37% of spread bets, but 95% of spread dollars. That's a pretty big discrepancy in favor of the Sun Devils. Ken Palma has Nebraska winning by 3. So if you're getting 5.5, that sounds like a pretty good edge to me. And if you look at some advantages here, one advantage that I found, shooting the 3. If you can knock down your 3-pointers, that's huge, especially if you're a dog and you got to keep pace or cover. Arizona State, despite all their roster issues, they're 70th in the country shooting the 3, 36%. Flip side here, you look at Nebraska, they're pretty bad. They're only shooting 33%. They rank 242nd in the country. And shout out to our buddy Greg Hoops. I was reading this at VSiN.com. He mentioned this earlier, but Nebraska's top assistant coach, Adam Howard, left the team. He's not going to coach in this game. So your coach bailed on you. You know, how does that trickle down in the locker room? Friends at Rhythm here have a 3.5 game. I'm going to take the points here. I'm going to go Arizona State plus 5.5.
Josh, let's switch over to Major League Baseball. We're a week in, so obviously this is overreaction time. Rafael Devers can't hit anymore, as you know. He forgot how to hit, can't play baseball anymore, probably going to go 0 for season. What have you seen early on here? Any sort of trends, any sort of teams getting back that maybe you didn't think were going to get back, or teams maybe getting faded?
Yes, you make a good point, Matt. Like, try not to overreact to a very small sample. We all know baseball is an extremely long season. There's a lot of ups and downs. I can just tell you, I know Ariel's a Yankees fan. The question is with the bats and the torpedoes and stuff. In Boston, where I'm at, it's all about Devers. You hit the nail on the head, Matt. It's like this guy didn't want to move off of third base. He kind of pouted a little bit in spring training. Now Bregman's in, and he's 0 for whatever with setting the record for strikeouts. So as a Sox fan, that's what everyone's talking about around here. But I'll focus on one game today, Matt, that really caught my eye. I wonder if Ariel has the same lean. The Angels and the St. Louis Cardinals. This was one of the biggest steam moves of the day. The St. Louis Cardinals opened as low as like minus 130. They're all the way up to minus 150. So that's a pretty big 20-cent jump in favor of the Cardinals. Now, the pitching matchup doesn't look great. Miles Mikolas, he had a 5.5 ERA last year. Tyler Anderson was better, 3.81. But a couple things to like about St. Louis. Aside from that line move, the circa splits look really sharp in favor of the Cardinals. They're only getting 70% of bets, but over 90% of the money. A couple things that I look for if you're on a favorite. I'd love to take an interleague favorite or a non-division favorite because of the lack of familiarity, kind of letting the cream rise to the top. The better teams typically win those games. Also a low total. Now this total was 8. That's a low total in the MLB. That used to be a regular size total. 8.5 was kind of your line of demarcation, but lower total tends to benefit favorites. Fewer amount of expected runs scored, more likely to come from quote unquote that better team. Might be a schedule advantage for the Cardinals. They're playing their 4th straight home game, so no travel. You look at the Angels; they're 2-1. They beat up on the White Sox. But they're playing their 4th straight road game. The offense of St. Louis has been much better to start. They're hitting 306 versus just about 200 for the Angels. They've scored 19 runs versus only 5 for the Angels. And a couple system matches that caught my eye. Non-division favorites with steam 10 cents or more. That would match with the Cardinals. It's off to a 7-3 start, 70%. That's been a pretty good system historically. And kind of a weird one here. If you're a Monday home favorite with steam 10 cents or more in your favor, since the start of last year, that system is 36-15, 71%, 10% ROI. So I'm going money line Cardinals. I wish I got a better price. I got them minus 150 at BetMGM. But Ariel, the prop queen, MLB guru, what do you think about the Cardinals today?
Yeah, I saw that same steam move. I didn't bet anything in that spot, but there was one other team, and I know we only have 30 seconds. The one that stood out to me with your reverse line movement, Toronto and Washington. I saw Toronto go from minus 172 to minus 164, and over 80% of action is loving them today, Josh.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. And hey, either way, prop, run line, spread, money line. Let's see if we can cash some tickets today.
All Systems Go podcast at Josh_Insights. And of course, over at VSiN.com. He is Josh Appelbaum. Josh, thanks for the time today, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks. And Matt, hope you get an $11 ticket. Hope to see you courtside tonight.
I'm going 37
courtside.
Going 37 courtside, baby. You're going to see me. I'm going to be the guy. I'll be sitting next to Spike Lee. It's going to be great. Guys, we already talked about it a ton here. If you haven't done so already, head on over to VSiN.com. We've got all the Final Four coverage for you over there. So be sure, take in all of our experts. They'll break it down from you. Top to bottom, who they think is going to win this thing, who they think they're going to cover the spread, the totals, everything. VSiN.com/subscribe. It is just $9.99 for your first 30 days. Wow, this thing has flown by. We'll put a bow on this show when we come back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Final segment, Money Moves here on a Monday. Matt Brown, Ariel Epstein. Thanks for being with us here. YouTube TV, channel 158 over on Sirius, our very own VSiN Watch app. We get a tweet here from Ben who says he agrees with us, Ariel, that the tush push shouldn't be banned, but he said that we're not bringing up that the other teams want the pushing banned, not the QB sneak. maybe we didn't clarify that. Of course, quarterback sneaks are always going to be legal. So it certainly is the pushing part of it, but it's more of where do you draw the line, right? Because if they say, oh, you can't immediately push a guy, well, okay, can you wait half a second? Can you wait 1 second and then push him? Can you, whatever? Because they'll just
right. He dives in, and then his offensive lineman pushed the momentum forward anyway.
Yeah, it's like, so will the guy take the snap and just kind of like wait a half a second and then go? I don't really know like where we go with all of that. I think it's just going to be too hard to officiate when it's all said and done, which is kind of my whole thing with all this. And then further, the whole job is to stop the offense from moving the ball, and they're just trying to move the ball. And so if you can't do that and you can't figure out a way to do it, I will repeat the stat here because it is worth repeating if you were not with us in hour number one. Only Philly and Buffalo ran it more than 5 times all year, as it is anyway, because it's very hard to do. These other teams, if it was that easy to do, they would do it. So only Philly and Buffalo ran it more than 5 times, 35,415 total plays, and only 101 tush pushes. That is 0.28% of the plays in the NFL season last year that were tush pushes. So again, if your team could do it, they would do it. They just can't do it. And it shouldn't mean that Buffalo and Philly can't just because they figured out how to do it.
You also can't argue this whole injury thing. The injury thing is so silly. Jalen Hurts had to do the tush push 100 times this year. I mean, again, that's a fake number. Mm-hmm. He's fine. It's not as if we're seeing them do it and their quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, are getting hurt. That's not the case. So where's the injuries? What, the offensive linemen? They were fine too. I don't get it. Yeah,
I don't get it either. It is something that, again, where I will probably harp on. They're voting on it tomorrow, so we'll know how this is going to go down. I understand
the kick return, right? The kick return, there were injuries, people running into each other at full speed.
That made sense. Yes, everybody runs a 4-5 now in the NFL. I get it. Yes, you don't want car crashes on every single. I get that. That one I was fine with. We'd basically gotten rid of the kickoff anyway. The guys were just kicking out of the back of the end zone. So like, it didn't matter to me, but this one, I don't like a lot. We were just looking during the break. Some of these starting lineups are starting to come out for these early games, and Minnesota has gone with 9 righties versus Martin Perez, because if you look, Ariel, over his career, Martin Perez, a 346 WOBA to right-handed hitters with an 352 OBP, a 449 slugging percentage. So they are definitely using the advanced statistics here and going against Martin Perez and how bad he's been against righties.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. Martin Perez, a lefty nonetheless, of course that makes sense for stats, but just so people know, I'm looking at I got the MLB write-ups for these games. And so the Twins have lost their first 3 games of a season for the first time since 2016. But the Twins face a White Sox team that they've beaten in 19 of their last 21 meetings, including 12 of 13 last year. Minnesota has outscored Chicago 139-69 in those 21 contests.
Goodness gracious. We did get the Phillies lineup as well. So if you're paying attention, JT Realmuto is back in the lineup after missing yesterday, fouling that ball off his foot. So he's okay, but you do not see Trey Turner in there. They haven't officially moved him over to the IL yet, Ariel, but now this is 3 games in a row, back spasms. I guess maybe they're giving it today to see how it all plays out, but we might be looking at an IL stint here for Trey Turner.
MLB is saying they hope that Turner returns on Wednesday. So Edmundo Sosa gets the nod at short for Philly. And like you said, Realmuto fouled the ball off his foot on Saturday. X-rays were negative. He was out of the lineup Sunday with lingering soreness. Philly has won 14 of the last 18 between these two teams, including 6 in a row at home. So it's no surprise when you see steam coming in on Philly today.
Let's get to our G-Bank best bets here, and you and I on one together in Kumar Rocker. And then as you did a little bit further research throughout the course of the show here of the last 2 hours, apparently everybody loves Kumar Rocker today. But you know what? That does not mean that it cannot get home. It just means sometimes you don't love being on the side that everybody else is on here. But we cannot deny what a prospect that he is, and we cannot deny how much swing and misses in that Reds lineup.
Yeah, the Reds were one of the more higher K rate teams in baseball last year. They averaged just about 5.5 strikeouts a game against righty starters. This year, both starters went over their strikeout prop so far, who were righties, which was Logan Webb and Justin Verlander, had 5 strikeouts. So this number at 4.5 for Rocker, a number that he went over in 2 of his 3 starts last year, including a game against the Blue Jays, who were a low K rate team. It just tells you how good Rocker's stuff really is against the high K rate team like Cincinnati. You mentioned this in the commercial break, Matt. The concern is more how long Texas lets Rocker stay in the game, as opposed to really the concern being if he could hit over 4.5 strikeouts. We know he can. It's just how long in his first start of the season is Rocker in.
Yeah, so that's my only concern with all of this. But again, if they give him the leash, I think he gets there for sure with all of this. My other play today here for our best bets, like I said, I'm going to take the leap of faith here on Jackson Jobe and the Tigers. I understand they started 0-3, but they went 0-3 against the Dodgers. There'll be a lot of teams that lose a lot of games to this Dodgers squad. I think we're getting a discount on this Tigers team heading up to Seattle at even money. So they're actually the dog here going up against Emerson Hancock. And there are some people out there that like Emerson Hancock, but everybody loves Jackson Jobe. The thing that I'm really on here is the fact the Mariners just can't hit the ball. I do understand that it is small sample size, but they're hitting 175 to start the season here. Only a couple teams below them to start off the year in Ariel. But I'm not going small sample size here to make this decision. It's the Mariners couldn't hit last year and they couldn't hit the year before that. And they refused to go out and get bats in this lineup. They don't want to give up any of these pitchers. And so they just hold on to these pitchers and they won't go get any bats for any of these arms. And so they're basically wasting the arms anyway because they can't score any runs. Give me the Tigers, who I did love coming into this season, getting a bounce back spot here after they get out of LA and don't have to face those Dodgers anymore.
I have another strikeout prop also, Matt. 2:35 p.m. Eastern time. The Boston Red Sox are at the Baltimore Orioles. It's Orioles opening day. It's their home opener. Opening day is what I mean. Baltimore's lefty Cade Povich, over 4.5 strikeouts. I've been waiting for this since I saw, Red Sox and starting pitchers and rotations announced, because the Red Sox last year had one of, if not the highest strikeout rate in baseball against left-handed pitchers. We haven't even seen the Red Sox face a lefty starter yet. It's been straight righties against Boston so far. This is the first lefty, Povich. He averaged last year just under 6 strikeouts a game against high K rate teams against Southpaws. That number went up to 6.5 strikeouts a game at home against high K rate teams. Lefties, 22-14 last year, over under their strikeout prop against Boston, averaging just under 7 strikeouts a start. Let's try to get a low number on a low name like Povich in the home opener for the O's, over 4.5 Ks against Boston.
Ariel, for those who weren't with us a little bit earlier, you're riding with Blanco and Glasnow as well.
I like Blanco at home over his 5.5 strikeouts, plus money, plus 110 against San Francisco, who's had 5 and 8 strikeouts so far this year against righty starters. Blanco's averaging just under 7 strikeouts a game at home. Last year he did against high K rate teams. Glasnow, if you want something for later on and you like the Dodgers against the Braves, who the Braves have not hit in the last 2 games, but if you don't want to lay minus 210 on the Dodgers, you could get Glasnow over 6.5 strikeouts amount, minus 130. We haven't really seen the Braves play that many great righties yet this year. One only went over with 7. However, last season, they averaged just over 5 strikeouts a game. The Braves against righty starters, 61 and 50 over under righty starters against the Braves last year. Glasnow at home, averaged 7.5 strikeouts a game against high K rate teams. So I would look to Glasnow over 6.5 Ks. I don't mind it.
I have the college basketball crown, and I have the tickets pulled up right now. Am I going to be
$37 for courtside?
Am I going to be able to find a courtside seat? Oh, it's $49. That is right on the brink there. I could sit courtside for $49. I got to figure out if that is worth it to go down there and take it in.
Just bet a money line on a dog. It'll pay for itself.
Producer Brian in the air, like, just do it. $49. Just go sit courtside. I don't even know which game it was. I was trying to look up real quick just to see if we could possibly get that done. Guys, these best bets are brought to you by G-Bank's official bank of VSiN. G-Bank up in the ante, up to $750 for a new G-Bank Visa signature card customers. For new customers, if you spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within the first 90 days from account opening, you get a $250 bonus. For you high rollers out there, you can get up to $500 more in bonuses as well. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. For Ariel, I am Matt. Stay tuned. Money, we got prop points with Nick Whalen and Jeff Erickson, followed by Make It Rain with Adam Shine.